Greetings to everyone and welcome to the launch of CRC's Pastoral Year. Special welcome to Sister Anne that is with us this morning and will present in a few minutes. A new year brings us not only new meetings, themes, and activities, but overall it prompts us to question the direction of what we are proposing. What is our starting point? Where do we want to go? How can we get there? This is the work that the CRC team has done and which was presented to you at the beginning of September when our 2025-2026 programming was published. Last year, our common reflection led us to select 5 themes that will serve as guides to help us face the current challenges and those that lie ahead in the coming years. These themes are outlined in the document CRC Prospect 2024-2030. Over the next years, we will place the theme of transmission at the heart of our reflection in order to support our actions. Giving life to hope, transmission. This is the rallying cry, if I may use this expression, of our meeting this morning. Let us remember the words of St. Paul. Hope does not disappoint. If we hope for what we do not see, we wait with endurance. This morning, we begin our journey together in a very concrete way, not with ideas and speeches, but rather with people who have kindly agreed to share their experiences of transmission with us. In light of these testimonies, we are saying to ourselves, yes, it is possible. Transmission does not aim for perfection, but draws on the determination to keep our hands and hearts open so that what was motivated us over the year may continue, albeit in different way, through others who are inspired by what still motivate us. This is the first step we are taking today. This will be followed in a second stage in November and December that will shed light on the ins and outs of what transmission entails. 2 experts will situate transmission in the history of consecrated life and then answer the question, what does it mean to transmit and what does the desire to transmit imply? In the second half of the year, we will try to equip ourselves with tools to implement the process of transmission so that at the end of the year, we can share widely the experiences of transmission that we will have had. You see, we are starting this morning with something concrete, and we will conclude at the end of the year with the concrete reality of what we will have experienced. I therefore wish you all a wonderful journey of reflection and action throughout this year. And without further ado, I give the floor to our guest. Have a wonderful meeting with us.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I will invite you to take a look of some testimonies, some interviews we did here at the CRC during the last year, but also others members of the CRC. So let's start by allowing some of the CRC members to talk to us about the present and what nourishes their hope. First, let's listen to Sister Anna Bessette, the leader of the Congregation of Notre Dame, and Sister Claire Rolfe, Dominican, the sub-prioress of the Queen of Peace Monastery in British Columbia.
Spiritual growth. is still in the heart of the people of Quebec, of Canada. It may not be formalized, but if one woman of prayer, a CND Sisters, makes a difference in your life, can that open their heart? It's one encounter. We are women of visitation. We are women of Pentecost. I think the Spirit moves in many different ways, and the willingness to walk with someone, to listen to them, to be present to them, touches one heart. They in turn pass that on. I'm not worried about the big institution building. Is how are we called to be people of hope, people who recognize that our world is in need of healing. That can only happen one-on-one. But we can also influence leaders, political leaders. We have to get out there. We have to stand strong for justice, for the rights of people.
I think that people are hungering and thirsting for something. They don't even know it. Many, many people. And I hope that, or that they perceive God in beauty, in nature, that they don't know what it is that they're looking for, what it is that is calling them, what is it that they're longing for, what their desires are. And these contemplatives have kind of identified what it is, what they're longing for, what our destiny is, what our end is. It's the heart of God, you know. And so, and I think that we're like just a quiet, silent light on the mountainside that's seen, and it causes people to question, causes people to think, what is it that brings my life meaning?
How do we bring our presence prayerfully to the needs of the world, and ask the Lord to be present to that? And how are we being called to be present to it? How is it changing the decisions we make? How is it influencing us? I can't solve the world's problems. We all try. I think leaders think they can do all of that. But it's how do we place that in the hands of God and ask for the wisdom, ask for the grace to be present to the needs of the day.
God wanted to do something new. And I would say the new generation that is in place, they are trustworthy. They are full of God. I really have confidence in them. It's going to be a very few number, not very numerous group, but they are quality, and I think that we can have confidence in the future, even if it's small, even if it's totally different, you know, what the face of the church or the face of religious life in Canada.
Obviously, we don't have all the answers for some of the very difficult financial, structural, organizational pieces. I think one of the beauties of religious life today is we see the importance of collaborators, lay men and women working with us. The sisters don't have to be the force, that we don't have the numbers to be the force, and there are so many more expertises that are needed, and working together in collaboration, and collaboration between congregations. The days of competition between congregations is over. How do we listen together as consecrated men and women to the needs of our world? That is a different way of operating in the world. I think that is one of the things that helps us respond without saying, oh, yeah, we've heard all of this before. It's a new world. There's a new way to respond.
I want now to offer you two short excerpts from the new documentary film produced by the Sister of Charity of the Immaculate Conception in New Brunswick. The title of the film is Blessing the Future. So, two short excerpts from this video.
I think they want to be valued contributors to the life and community, to their mission, to our wider world. This is a worldly set of sisters. The big picture is that so many communities, particularly in the global north, are going through this huge transition, and they're getting smaller and smaller and older. And that's the impetus for change. But the question that I put before communities is not only what do you need to change, but what is the invitation here? What's the deeper invitation? They've been out there contributing to the world for all of their life. So I think they are antsy to find a way to do that now in their senior years.
So the mission of charity, rather than contracting, it's really going to expand, because there'll be more people involved, more people embraced by this charism. It's not a charism for only a particular congregation. The charism of charity is a gift of the Holy Spirit for the whole church and for the world.
Today, we honor there's no them and us. This is our home, our common home. It is caring for everything, including Mother Earth. And as it feels to me that as we have matured over time, it is this honoring the mission of so many organizations and nonprofits who are doing what we would love, and in some ways did and no longer can. I know that I speak for a lot of the sisters that I've served in leadership with. What has been life-giving for us is to have organizations, and I say friends, I say collaborators, I say partners in mission.
Finally, to introduce our guests, a short report about the legacy of the Sister of St. Joseph of Toronto in the health care sector.
To build a future together as one network, it's important for us to have some grounding in where we started. Our story begins with the Sisters of St. Joseph, women who dedicated their lives to treating the sick and the poor in Toronto. My name is Beth Johnson, and I'm the Executive Director of Mission Integration for Providence Healthcare, St. Joseph's Health Centre, and St. Michael's Hospital. In 1650, 6 women came together in Le Puy, France, and formed the Sisters of St. Joseph. They experienced a call to work with the poor and the sick, and they wanted to be one with the dear neighbor. From that simple mission blossomed a legacy of care across the globe.
In 1851, 4 Sisters of St. Joseph, including our foundress, Mother Delphine Fontbonne, arrived in Toronto to run an orphanage on Jarvis Street. With typhus and cholera decimating the poorest in our city, the sisters expanded their work to also serve the sick poor and those who had nowhere else to turn. My name is Sister Mary Ann McCarthy, and I'm a member of the leadership team of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Toronto. In 1855, Toronto's Bishop de Charbonnel wrote a letter to the diocese announcing that a House of Providence would be built. It would be a place of welcome to all in need, the poor, the sick, the aged, and the infirm, along with widows and orphans. As the needs of Toronto changed, the sisters had the foresight to open St. Michael's Hospital in 1892 and then St. Joseph's in 1921. And thus began our shared history.
Today, we are a place of welcome for all in need, and that spirit of caring for the dear neighbor has transcended centuries. This picture of serving the needy at the door of the House of Providence and the ones of a St. Michael's social worker sitting with a person in need illustrates that the mission and values from the sisters are alive in the hearts of today's staff. The sisters' legacy of compassion, innovation, courage, leadership, and responding to unmet needs continues in our hospitals today.
Together, we are the center of urban health care in Toronto.
Together, we are responding to the needs of people in our city and involving them in shaping the care they need.
Together, we will do everything possible through research, education, and the care our teams provide to keep more people healthy across our city and beyond.
Together, we will proudly move forward and carry forth the legacy of compassion, hope, and healing instilled in us by the Sisters of St. Joseph.
Thank you, Eve, for setting the table with these video clips that show us different aspects of how transmission can happen. But we now welcome Sister Anne Lewins, who will speak to us live, not on a video clip. Sister Anne is congregational leader of the Ursulines of Prelate, Saskatchewan. And over nearly 2 decades, she led her congregation through transformation, adopting simpler governance structures for the community, moving members to more supportive housing, and transferring ministries to Catholic-sponsored organizations. Sister Anne, we are eager to hear you share your experience with us today.
Thank you, Sister Danielle. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to some of you. I'm happy to be with you. I'm pleased to share from my community's experience. To begin, I will give some information about my congregation. I hope this will be helpful in understanding the manner in which we have approached our plans for the future, and in particular, our plans for sharing our legacy. The Ursulines of Prelate is a small diocesan congregation. Our foundation, Prelate, Saskatchewan, was in 1919 from a group of Ursulines in Cologne, Germany, in response to a request for teachers. Our charism is educating for life. In our mission statement, we say, "We, the Ursulines of Prelate, in the spirit of Saint Angela Merici, participate in the mission of Jesus." Angela's charism, contemplation in action, is lived out in our ministry of educating for life. We are based in Saskatchewan. Our ministry has been primarily in Western and Northern Canada, where our sisters served as teachers in classrooms in many rural communities, as well as in larger schools and colleges. Our sisters served as directors of catechetical offices in parishes and dioceses, and as parish life directors. Our community always emphasized the fine arts, painting, stitchery, music, and so on. A number of sisters served in missions abroad: Swaziland, Zimbabwe, Brazil, Latvia, places in the Caribbean. We owned and operated St. Angela's Academy, a girls' boarding school at Prelate, Saskatchewan, for 88 years. The academy closed in 2007. We are presently 21 members, with an average age of 85.9 years. We had 4 deaths in the last year. We all live in Saskatoon at 3 residences, ranging from independent living to level 3 and 4 care. We are blessed with the financial resources to care for our members in these facilities. Our last chapter was in 2015, and it was replaced with a participative assembly. We have a 3-member leadership team with 1 part-time employee in finances. So you will understand from the information I've given so far that this topic of transmitting our legacy has been on the agenda of community meetings for some time. And more recently, it is a top priority. Our numbers are dwindling rather quickly, and we have a small pool of sisters able to exercise roles of responsibility and leadership. We have been formally collaborating with Canadian Religious Stewardship since 2021, benefiting from professional consultation and facilitation. We have come to a greater acceptance of our reality and have gained confidence in our ability to move forward with practical planning for the future. Most of our members are no longer in active ministry. So how does our mission continue? I would suggest in a few ways. First, through the lives of those whom we have ministered to and with over the last 100 years. It is gratifying to hear of former students and colleagues whose lives are living witnesses to the Christian values we have tried to instill. Secondly, through our sharing of our resources, physical properties, and financial assets, so that projects, services, and ministries can continue. Thirdly, our mission continues as we foster relationships, share our stories, and place our trust in others to use our resources for mission. In our senior years, we hope to be living examples of aging gracefully and joyfully. So I will give some examples now of how we have transferred properties and financial resources. St. Angela Merici Residence in Saskatoon is a personal care home that we built in 1986 as a retirement home for our sisters. Over time, as we were fewer residents, it was not viable as a residence just for ourselves. So we decided to license it as a personal care home and be able to invite others to live with us. By this time, the entire staff was lay people. In 2019, we transferred ownership and management to the Saskatchewan Catholic Health Corporation. The residence is now home to 30 people, including 7 of our sisters, and is operated by a board and all lay staff, continuing the mission of compassionate care for the elderly. Glengarda Residence in Saskatoon was built in 1959 as a residence for our sisters in active ministry and as a place of welcome for our sisters attending university or coming to the city for appointments. Over time, this residence also became too large for us, and rather than placing it on the market for sale, we answered a request from St. Paul's Hospital Foundation that we sell it to them for the development of a palliative care hospice, which we did in 2019. The hospice at Glengarda opened in 2021 as the first freestanding hospice in Saskatchewan, and it proudly retains the name Glengarda. Financial donations. We decided we would like to disperse some of our financial resources now, while we are still here and able to make these decisions. So we have already begun this process and contributed to the ministry of a number of Catholic organizations in education, healthcare, and social services. We have been blessed with resources that we do not need for the care of our members, and we would like to take an active part in planning for others to carry on our mission, our legacy. We gave ourselves criteria in keeping with our mission of educating for life. We support educational ministries. We especially support women in programs for developing life skills and for preparation for ministry in the church. We continue our traditional support of charities such as Development and Peace, Sanctum, Doctors Without Borders, Catholic Missions in Canada, and others. I'll give some examples of where we have placed our funds. Rural catechetics. All of our teachers were at one time involved in summer catechism classes in rural parishes, religion classes in public schools, and then later as regional or diocesan directors of rural catechetics. We continue to have a heart for rural catechetics, and we see a need now to revive and nurture this area of ministry. We have planned with both Saskatoon and Regina dioceses to support the religious education and faith formation of people in rural areas. We wish to see knowledgeable and confident leaders in their respective communities pass on the Catholic faith. We are pleased to have contributed financial support to these ministries. The Greater Saskatoon Catholic School System. We helped develop and fund a program for initial and ongoing education of teachers in Catholic schools. This is a scriptural and theological-based program adaptable for online use. 2 persons have been hired to coordinate this program, and it is now in its initial stage of implementation. The third example is St. Thomas More College. This is the Catholic college on campus of the University of Saskatchewan as one of the recipients of our legacy gifts. We made financial contribution to their chair in Aboriginal spirituality and reconciliation. This is another way we can continue our mission of education and also make a concrete contribution to healing and reconciliation with Aboriginal people. Ongoing plans. With the help of our finance committee, we monitor our ability to disperse finances. Our leadership team is actively discerning other areas of ministry related to our mission of educating for life. And one example where we are still working on the process, we have been supporting a religious community in Zimbabwe for 40 years. We hope to continue our support and plan to use the Foundation of Canadian Catholic Congregations to manage a fund for this purpose. This foundation is managed by Canadian Religious Stewardship. Though this community lives a monastic lifestyle, they have been supporting the education of poor children in the area and have even built a school. We are preparing our communal will to make our final wishes known. At the death of the last sister, we want our remaining funds to go to those legacies which will already be set up. So this is a glimpse into some of our ways of ensuring, as best as we can, that our charism lives on into the future through others. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sister Anne. It is exactly at the heart of our project this year. I mean, the animation about transmission. Very interesting what you have presented us. It's a process, and that's exactly what we wanted to do as this first animation of the year, first stage. Not giving like the model, but experiences that congregation still living in this process of transmission. So thank you very much. Now, well, following what had been presented, the clips at the first and the presentation of Sister Anne, what had been presented so far, let's just take a little time. I have two simple questions and the floor will be open after that so we can share together. First, what caught my attention? Secondly, what questions are on my mind? So what caught my attention? What questions are on my mind? Let's take a few moments to think about that, and after the floor will be open so we can share with each other. Nancy, your mic. Okay.
I was impressed, Anne, with the how well thought out your plan was, like over years, and presumably with everybody involved, and how you stuck to and are sticking to your mission of education, which you're founded with. You're not going all over the map, and how faithful you are to that. And yeah, that's just, well, that's something that impressed me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, Marlene.
I just wanted to comment on each of the presentations in terms of just the visibility of how lay people are going to be involved over and over and over again in carrying our missions forward. And again, and maybe I'm wrong, but just this sense that women religious are leading that in the church again. You know, when Vatican II was talking again about lay people and how there needed to be greater involvement, and perhaps we haven't seen it quite the way we would have liked to see it. And again, that now we're sort of taking up the mantle and going forward with each of these presentations in terms of how we're asking and involving lay people in just carrying that forward. So again, it just gives me lots of hope, and I'm just very, very grateful for each of the presentations for today.
Thank you, Marlene. Diane?
I just want to say thank you for this presentation today, for CRC bringing us together, and the various comments from our presenters and the video clips and so on. I think I was struck by Bonnie's comment that even though we are getting older and less, if we do it right, we are going to, and as Anne talked about, one of the witnesses or legacy is that the life of the sisters or the congregations in those that they touched in life and so on like that. That's important. So that I guess Bonnie was saying, that as we grow less, there will be a different expansion. And the thing with regard to our legacy and our future ministries, if we're going to continue to have them continue, or the donations that we make, that the charism of charity or mercy or providence or life learning or whatever our gift to the world and to the church is, that it will expand beyond us in time and space.
Thank you, Diane. Veronica.
I also want to thank the presenters. It was quite enlightening. The question that struck me was, what's the deeper invitation of this moment? And I think that idea of just continuing to enlarge our horizons, the signs of the times that we've been encouraged to see for these many years, and continual attentiveness to that. Practically, I was struck by Anne's comment that they are supporting catechetical information in catechetical education in rural settings. And I have tended to think that I wanted us to fund, newer projects, but we also have a history in rural education. And so that gave me pause and just thinking about it for ourselves. So thank you.
Thank you, Veronica.
Call from 1204410.
As I said at the beginning, it's the beginning of a process. This year, we're going to reflect on that. What does that mean, transmission? And as I said, we began by concrete examples, and it's important to share about that. Next step, we're going to go deeper in the sense that we'll try to find everything what is under transmission. But it's interesting having your comments this morning about what is coming in your mind when you hear something like that. And probably you are doing the same thing too. Yes.
Elaine.
Oops, the microphone is off. Yeah, now.
Okay.
well, it never ceases to amaze me that our congregations began with so few, and we've come full circle and we're completing with so few again. So, and yet the challenges and how to deal with it are so different, you know, and I think it's because over time our congregations have had such an impact, and then the transmission is something that is kind of like overwhelming because of the impact that has been left behind. And it's like almost like doing a full circle and tying the knots, but I guess to use Pope Francis's expressions, we're always trying to undo the knots in the process. So that's kind of what strikes my attention, and I you know, I think that whatever we do is done gracefully. We don't need to be over preoccupied about it. And it began beyond our control, and it will continue beyond us, because it's a gift that's charism and mission is a gift that's larger than us and ourselves.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's true. It's true. We're gonna see that in November. Someone will present what we are living actually, like in the circle of life of consecrated life. It's not something new. But what is really interesting is when I am hearing that, what we share this morning, we are not facing death. We are facing transmission, and transmission is life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, John.
Hi, everybody. I'm deeply struck in the presentations by the very profound connections between the original works of these congregations and the connections that they're making now and the projects that they're involved in now. It's about widening the collaborative efforts with people who are like-minded in the charism. And I'm just really struck by how well congregations are doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ellen?
One of the things that struck me was just the ongoing thread through each of the presentations. It was the same thread that was carrying on. And the other thing is, I'm not hearing anyone talking about dying or finishing off. I think that we're looking ahead. We're looking forward responsibly. So therefore, obviously, there are serious decisions to be made, and we're making them. And we're just concentrating on living our mission and our charism today. And that I find really impressive and very encouraging.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
It is quite impressive on this side of the screen, if so to speak, to hear how you seem to all resonate with what has been presented this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are. But maybe you also have some questions that popped up in your mind. So the floor is also open to questions you would like just to share. Sometimes it's not a matter of getting an answer, or maybe you have questions that you would like to ask Sister Anne on her presentation or on the process. So the floor is also open to questions, not only resonances, but questions. So I just want to remind you that there's also another aspect to our conversation today. If you wish to raise some questions or share the questions that are on your mind, please feel free to do so.
Yes, Veronica.
Um, I would like to share just kind of a question that has been bouncing around in me. And I have been thinking that there is a way that Earth also has a charism. Like the creativity and the energy and the magnificence of creation gives us everything that we. So there is a way that we all share in the charism of Earth. And I have been thinking about how can we draw on that sensibility in ourselves and in others to face the incredible challenges that we face today in terms of climate crisis, climate catastrophe, in terms of all the division there is in the world right now. That's we have resources that others don't have. So now how can we put that all together? That's
Thank you very much for this aspect. That also is part of transmission, of course. Thank you. Diane?
Yes, a big question for me coming up now, and as we may all make transition in our religious life, and that is the question of synodality and how is this all interconnected with the future of our charisms, which are God's gift to us through the church and in the church. So it's just a question, that, and I think it's a strong call from Pope Francis and being carried on, worked at now is how do we do it?
Thank you.
Often we hear that congregations have a great deal of experience at synodality. So I guess part of transmission is how do we transmit our experience of synodality, right?
Yes, Jen.
To go along with that, I was struck by the first two speakers, the first two sisters, which both spoke about the spiritual hunger of the people and those not even knowing what they're looking for. And it seems to me that's part of when we talk about synodality, we're also talking about our spirituality. And so I'm struck by the fact that we can keep ourselves centered on and focused on the acts and the missions that we've been in and the ministries. But I think we're into a time now which it's very much to do with our own presence and influence and the gift that we bring as women religious, men religious, is this whole area around the longing for what they don't know for the people of God. And so there's something, and it's attached also, I'd say, to what Veronica spoke of in terms of the earth. It's people's understanding of our common home and how that relates. So for me, the question is around us being able to transmit that there is meaning in this world. There is meaning for us to and the collective as a common home, and what that means for us to care. So for me, it's a question of us how we can transmit our very lives that we have, we've dedicated to this belief in there is something more. And that's what I think a lot of people in our world now are picking up. There is something more, but they don't know how to articulate it. They don't know how to find it. They don't know how to live it.
Thank you. Thank you. What is also interesting in the examples we had, but in the process of transmission, it's not a one-way process. It's not just us how to transmit something to others. We do need others to do the process, because people today have another way, others' way of trying to assume what our words describe in our mission. So that's an encounter, that's a dialogue. And when you were talking about synodality, it's that we need together to find a way to establish something new. That's at the heart of transmission. Other comments or questions? Maybe Sister Anne, about what you have heard, what is your spontaneous reaction?
There. Well, I guess the only comment I would like to make in reference to what I have said or what I've heard is the whole idea of others. And I would like to add, I guess, that, you know, we talk about transmission of our legacy, but it's not just starting, it has been happening all along. And in my experience in Saskatchewan, where we no longer have sisters in most of the traditional ministries of education and healthcare and so on, I see the laity continuing this legacy very well. And I am so impressed with the lay people that are living examples of the charisms of the sisters in healthcare and so on. And some of you that are on this call are members of the communities who used to be in these prominent ministries in Saskatchewan. And I see the ministries at St. Paul's Hospital, at some of the other institutions. Many of the Catholic hospitals in Saskatchewan no longer have sisters for a long time, but they are doing all kinds of things to keep the spirit alive. They have celebrations of the legacy of the sisters, and they try to embody these same gifts that sisters had. And so I think it's alive. It's certainly not dying. And I am very impressed with what I see in our different Catholic organizations, beyond our Catholic organizations, of course. But anyway, so I just want to say that when I listen to some of you sisters, I know that you used to have missions in Saskatchewan. And I'd just like to tell you, your charism is alive and well.
Thank you, Sister Anne. Someone want to say something before we move on to the other part? Feel free. Okay, now Danielle.
Well, thank you. We're nearing the end of our webinar this day, and in this conclusion time, I'd like just to maybe recap what the CRC office is aiming to offer this year, and we will have a little prayer at the end. So our program, and LA opened with this theme, bringing hope to life transmission. So in this holy year, we want to bring hope to life by exploring one of the 5 CRC prospects, transmission. What is transmission? Well, it's a process by which knowledge, traditions, values, skills are transferred from one person to another or from one generation to the next. Transmission, a process that can take place through education, stories, for example. And isn't it what we have just begun today? Alain noted in his introduction that entering into a process of transmission requires keeping our hands and hearts open so others are inspired by what drives us and that the mission continues. We are therefore called to keep our hands and hearts open in order to live in gratitude for our history and be proud of our past, value the heritage of religious congregations, telling our current stories, emerging from our solidarity with the world. And these elements that I just spoke of are part of what you find in our CRC Prospects 2024-2030 document. Following this launch event, we have invited 2 speakers to explore the theme of transmission and open up new perspectives on this issue. First, transmission throughout the history of consecrated life with Father Daniel Cadrin on Wednesday, November 26. Second, what does transmission mean and what does the desire to transmit imply with Mrs. Solange Lefebvre on Tuesday, December 2nd. These will be national events with interpretation. The invitation to today's activity contained these words from St. Paul to the Romans, which Alain also quoted in his introduction. Hope does not disappoint. If we hope for what we do not see, we wait with endurance. We invite you at the end of this meeting to take a moment for personal reflection. What can you do to keep your hands and heart open? What are you grateful for regarding your congregation's legacy? So we take a few minutes for personal reflection on these 2 points. Sister Anne, would you lead us in praying the Jubilee prayer, please?
Father in heaven, may the faith you have given us in your Son, Jesus Christ, our brother, and the flame of charity enkindled in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, reawaken in us the blessed hope for the coming of your kingdom. May your grace transform us into tireless cultivators of the seeds of the gospel. May those seeds transform from within both humanity and the whole cosmos in the sure expectation of a new heaven and a new earth, when, with the powers of evil vanquished, your glory will shine eternally. May the grace of the Jubilee reawaken in us, pilgrims of hope, a yearning for the treasures of heaven. May that same grace spread the joy and peace of our Redeemer throughout the earth. To you, our God, eternally blessed, be glory and praise forever. Amen.
May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I want to thank you, all of you, for being with us this morning. A special thanks, of course, to Sister Anne for having accepted to share with us the experience of transmission of her community. Thank you, Sister Anne. It was wonderful. And as we said at the beginning, it's recorded, so it will be quickly available on our website. I know there's some people who couldn't be with us this morning, and they of course, they want to use the video. So feel free to use it with your community. It's available. And we are also always happy to have your comment. So it's our way to be at your service. Thank you very much. And as it was said before, the next rendezvous will be in November. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.